make me no. Is you here? Should I? Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought for a moment you were someone else. I know it's you. It was just a dream that felt too real. I am a bit more calm now. No, you need not send for a healer. This isn't a new thing. Just, that one was a little worse than normal. Oh, wait. Oh, where? We are back at the palace? I did not think I'd even make... I haven't really slept properly in any of the rooms, so... It seems so unfamiliar, or, well, a little... strangely familiar. I don't know, it just gave me a bit of a panic. Last I remember, we were in Sylvania when the attacks occurred. What are these? Well, yes. My head wasn't banged up that much, right? I can tell that they're flowers. Adept. But why do you have them? For me? Oh, no. Don't be silly. I don't care if they're not pristine. A few broken stems means nothing at all. I suppose you must have grown them. I hope I did not panic you too much when you saw or heard me. Were you on your way to visit me? I see. I didn't even notice the flowers over there, so... These will certainly brighten up the room. And these flowers are my favorite. You remembered. Oh, then I suppose you were spot on. They do cheer me up. I feel better already. Thank you, Adept. Truly. That's kind of you. You're very kind. Well, I suppose my body is rather sore. I seem to have been cut up badly. Though I suppose those healers must have done some good work to get me this healthy so quick. But it looks as if they'll be leaving some scars behind. Even magic can't erase them. How silly. But otherwise, I think I'm okay. I could have been worse off. Dead and buried. Wait. Adept. What happened? The aftermath. The people. What happened? No. No. I'm alright. I think I'm still in a bit of shock is all. Tell me, I'll be fine. I'll be okay. From what I can remember, it's really all a blur. After the arrow grazed my arm, I sent you away with Anissa. I sought out the location of the archers, and I sent mages after them. I had to get the situation under control. I simply couldn't fathom that crazed clan would do something as reckless as this. Have they truly become so desperate as to risk everything? I had been distracted. If only I was more focused. If I had been more realistic. For a moment, my senses were blurred by the celebration. If I had, perhaps I would have seen it coming. The malice. I could have sensed it. But I don't know. Perhaps for a moment, those soldiers, too, found happiness in the celebrations they once had before the war. Perhaps it wasn't all spite. Not till the arrows were already in the air. Perhaps that is why I could not sense them. But afterward, I ran toward the assassins in a foolish attempt to cut them down myself. I needed you safe, secure. That's why I did not ask you to help me. It didn't matter what happened to me. If anything, my loss would garner you more than enough support from my family, the people around you. I thought perhaps the lessons in the past few months were enough. And without me, you'd be better off. Less burdened by me, by your anger, by my misdeeds. It was a quick decision I made. I felt it was reasonable at the time. You and Anissa and the security of the people were my top priority. If I managed to trap them, keep them under my spell a little longer, then it would spare time to redirect the flow of people, kill any of the remaining traitors to the crown, so I used a spell. One I was taught by my mother. It kept people inside, people who hated you. But it trapped you as well. But you'd hope, at the very least, when you'd cast that sort of spell, that they had already been weakened. If I had used the knights, the mages, anyone could have been mistaken as an enemy. In such a large crowd, it would have been disastrous. I kept it contained. They attacked, and I did my best to fend them off for a time. I had resolved I would die. I think my whole body was slammed into my own barrier, and that's when I began to lose consciousness. My hair was matted with blood and sweat, and I was cornered. I began to see spots in my vision. I closed my eyes, and that was that. I thought my time had come. I thought I had... or was going to die. That my wounds were far too grave to save. No, I couldn't have saved myself if I'd wanted to. I could close my wounds, perhaps, but even the pain of that would make me pass out and nearly kill me. I know, I know. I'm stupid. I just thought you'd be... Never mind. Anyway, that's really all I can remember. So, how many casualties? Military and civilian. It is lower than I would have expected. How many of them are fatalities? I hate to lose any soldier, but that is... What word could I even use? Good? Relieved that it was not more? Even hearing the death of one makes my blood run cold. I'm sorry. Just waking up to this is hard. I would assume that any civilian casualties would be from trampling or crush. Injuries can be healed, at least. Very well. I would like to see the names of the injured and the deceased later. It would be good to make a visit to them or their families when I am better. You have? You and niece? That is good. Excellent, really. I will still visit on my own. Or at least write some letters for now. Perhaps when my hands ache a little less, though. No, I think I'm fine for now. I'll have my wounds tended to again after this conversation. What else? Well, what other actions have you taken in the days since? Oh. Has the number already contacted you then? I see. Always quick on his feet, it seems. You were too. Gathering intelligence and holding a little council of your own. So, what of the Elder Council's territory after the attack? Any changes? I knew it would have had to been without the candidate's authorization. It's certainly not a surprise there. You've told me before that they're largely supporters of tradition. To commit an act of violence on such a day is blasphemous. To kill the royal family is blasphemous in itself, but of course Falco wouldn't care to even ask. To discuss the possibility of violence against you, Anissa, or myself. They're both in too deep now. They're traitors to the crown whether or not they wanted you dead. The end is all the same. But at least it seems like morale in the territories they've claimed control over are crumbling even further. Food was already in short stock. And with your persuasion, Kimball had withdrew the Elder Council's largest means of food and supplies. It's really only a matter of time now. Grief and anger run deep, and it's time to turn it around. Perhaps we... Yes, exactly what I had in mind. Liberation. A life under Falco, the Elder Council. It's no life at all. It has been months since Falco promised for a better life, a better ruler, yet it just becomes worse and worse. Attack from the inside and out. Have you perhaps then already spoken to Rowan? And what does he think? Will he join us? Well, he certainly has more principles than his father does. But it must have broken his little heart to betray his father. Indeed. It is all for the best in the end. I'm sure Rufus only needs a final push from Rowan to rebel. So it won't be a betrayal for long, I suppose. Then, the minute Rufus rebels, we make an attack, and it'll be over. They knew what would happen if they didn't succeed. Punishment will come swiftly. Also, were all the assassins subdued? Did any escape? You captured one? And the rest? I see. Well, a threat against the life of the crown is a death sentence in itself. But... Wait. You, as in... personally? Are you the one that came back for me? Adept... I don't understand. Did you... really... Did you save me? Why would you... Where are you going? You didn't answer my... Oh. I see. Business. Huh. I suppose it must be important if you're leaving in this quick of a rush to take care of it. Very well. Will you come back tonight? To answer me then? Okay. Well, I suppose I shall see you later then. Adept? Thank you. My goodness. Is that who I think that is? Anissa, you've come to visit. Oh, no, I'm just a little sore is all. You are completely unharmed, yes? Not a scratch on you? Good. I'm sure you must be shaken still. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that such a tragedy had to occur on such an auspicious day. If I could have foreseen it, I would have done anything to prevent it. I'm well, I promise. You do not need to worry about me. The healers did a fine job. I'm just left with a bit of ache. I need but a week, and I'll be back on my feet and good as new. Anissa. Niece, what's wrong? Oh, come here. Don't fret. There. Shh. I know it must have been scary. After all you've been through. I know. It's okay. You are safe. And so is your brother. Yes. So am I. And that's all that matters, right? You're all right. Now, I cannot promise it will stay peaceful forever. That would be a lie. And I want to speak frankly with you. Life cannot be the same as it was before. Even then, I'm sure you could tell that the peace of Claris was fragile. You're older and can certainly see the world with much more clarity now. Ever since the war, we've all been struggling to pick up the pieces. Your brother is currently fighting for his rightful place on the throne. Yes, he's been fighting for it his whole life. But now, the only thing that stands between him and the throne is the Elder Council. I don't know. Some people just want to have as much control and power and wealth as much as possible. But they have two plans to get to this goal of theirs. Regardless, it won't be happening either way, but they wish to make either a distant relative of yours the next ruler, or to rule themselves as a small council. but I wager that Lord Falco of Avis would rather rule himself. And because of this, there may be more instances that are scary. Lord Falco wishes to harm you and your brother, but we won't let it happen. After the Elder Council's defeated and gone, you will be safe. There still might be moments of uncertainty, but we cannot let them faze us. You have been so strong throughout this entire process, and at an incredibly young age, too. You know, I must apologize to you. Though I may be older than you, I have made many regrettable mistakes. I always think that I'm doing the right thing, but then it's really not. This has been weighing on my mind for a little bit now. See, when we first discovered you had disappeared from Reizoa, we sent search parties after you. Not to harm you, of course, but it was important you were safe. By that time, your brother, Adept, had already been captured. At the beginning, I wasn't very nice, because I was angry at him for the part he had played. I should have been calmer, since all I really wanted to do was help. And I knew that, yes, your mother played a large part in why everything turned out the way it did. Adept was very angry too. He was probably just confused and scared, just in the way that you must have been. At some point, he seemed okay. I didn't know if he was. But he calmed down. He got less angry, less tense, less distant. At the same time, we had finally found you and moved you into Burrowhearth. You were so much smaller, so frail. It seemed like even a cool breeze could break you. I knew you were incredibly important to Adept, and if he knew you were dying, or on the brink of death, well, he'd just splinter all over again. So I waited till you were well to tell him. I lied to him and to you, and for that I am so very sorry. It is understandable why you would think I am cruel or even worse, but... Huh? It's hard to explain, Anissa. I obviously know what I did was wrong now, but back then I didn't want to hurt him or you, so I told a lie. Why? Let me tell you a story to explain why I did what I did. I once had a friend. She kept me company for a while. We were close at the time. She got into an accident, a terrible one, due to my mother. And my mother made me tell her father the bad news, that while she was under my care, I had failed him. I had failed her, and that she got hurt by me. He got so angry, and I felt very guilty. It was all my fault, and I couldn't do a thing to calm him. So, perhaps that's why I lied. It was a selfish thing. I just didn't want to tell him until you were better. I would have told him if you had died, yes. If nothing else worked, I'd be at the end of my rope by then. I'd have to tell him, wouldn't I? And it would have still been all the same. He still would have felt horrible. Silly, wasn't I? I was. I really was trying my best. I still feel awful for it. Perhaps it would have been better to know that you were alive but dying. At that time, I just followed my instinct. Yes, it was very wrong of me. And I'm sorry. Once again, Anissa. I just wanted to tell you the truth of it since it was weighing on my mind. But thank you. Not many people are as kind as you, little one. Thank you for listening to me. Actually, Anissa, I have a question. Well, how do you feel about all this? Coming back to Rezoa and Adept regaining his titles? I know it's a big question, but I really want to know how you feel. Well, that is expected. It must have been quite strange coming back after so long. Scary, even. You didn't want to leave the study for a long while. I know that the halls may bring back some bad memories, even if it's all been cleaned up. But I hope that you feel a little more relaxed now. I know that maid of yours has been quite helpful, hasn't she? It is good to have someone like that by your side. Speaking of which, I know you didn't have much company. Friends, I suppose, while you were living here. I do have an acquaintance your age. She's also Vorso. And she might be good company. She's currently away at school for dance, but she's supposed to be coming back to Claris soon. It could make things feel a little more normal, having a friend around. Well, hopefully a friend. Yes, it will be different than when you were living with your mother. I'm, quite sorry that much of your family is gone. I know that you were very fond of your brother as well as your mother. I can understand that. It is a strange feeling, isn't it? My own mother wasn't very kind to me. but I still loved her all the same. It was certainly a twisted sort of love, but it couldn't be helped, I suppose. The heart is a fickle little thing. It acts in the strangest ways sometimes. You know, your hair is a bit of a mess. Turn around. I'll do it for you. You know, when I was little, when life was calmer, my mother would tie my hair into 2 simple braids. She used to weave little flowers from the garden into my hair. She said it made me look like a little fairy. And now you look like a little fairy, too. Oh? I had no idea that Adept could do that sort of thing. I suppose I'm learning all sorts of new and surprising things about him nowadays. Looks like I'll be adding braiding to the list. I guess he was rather good at plating the dough for bread at the orphanage. He's a good man. I suppose he always has been. How do you feel, now that he is to be a king? Don't feel pressured to answer. It's been chaotic after all. It's probably difficult to devise an answer to such a vague question. Oh? Well, that is good. I too look forward to him being king. He has come a long way since our reunion, I suppose. I knew your brother long ago, long before the war. And I've somehow always had some faith in him. The impression he left upon me was quite strong. I think he's always been kind. Perhaps it is just that the time here, mostly alone, ridiculed by servants and by others that should have been supporting him, caused him to put that kindness behind a wall. He went astray. There were times where I felt disillusioned by him, and yet I still hoped that the kind and brilliant adept that I knew was still there. To be honest, Anissa, I think it could have been completely extinguished had you not been there for him. Well, of course, Adept always speaks so fondly of you. Well, yes, you are related by blood, but it is much more than that. Adept was related to Theron, but he didn't like him very much, did he? I think you can understand what I mean. It is good that you have such a good bond. I don't know. I like your brother. I believe in him. I know he will be a good king, a good person. I just don't think that your brother really feels the same about me. Oh. I had nearly forgotten that detail entirely. No, Anissa, I'm afraid I will not become queen. Yes, we are indeed engaged, but that was a matter of gaining support and safety for your brother. Once the Elder Council is gone and the Council of Estrella has met, it is likely I will return home to Pencos. Of course, I would love it if you could visit me from time to time. I quite enjoy your company, after all. No, it's not like I already made up my mind to up and leave. I just think that your brother would rather me leave is all. I wasn't very kind to him in the beginning, and I don't think I can ever make up for it. He might hate me. Why wouldn't it make sense? You're right. I suppose he wouldn't have saved me if he really did. What? I can hardly imagine it. I think I'll ask him more about it later tonight. But why don't we talk more about you? Tell me about the past few days. What have you been doing? Oh. You're finally back. Was everything, did whatever business you have go well? Good. I feel a little better than before. The healers visited me and gave me a look over. It seems like my muscles will be weak for a little while, and I may have overdone the magic, so they'll be looking to give me some supplements to restore my energy. They said I was, lucky. It, won't be long before I'm up all night again working away. I can help lessen the burden. Don't lie to my face, Adept. I know it's not easy to do it all alone, even if you're good at it. You look worse for wear. It's, been a hard time, hasn't it? But from everything I've heard, you've been excellent. A prime example of a leader in trying times. I knew you could do it. Of course. Thank you also for coming back. I wasn't sure if you were really, or I don't know, busy. Do you have anything else to do tonight? Well, if you don't mind, could you stay a little while? I'd like to talk for a bit. There's a lot I'd like to know. I'm fine. My mind is sharp as a tack now, and I feel like we have a lot of things we need to say to each other. I can see it, and in your eyes. You're very tense. Come here. Let's talk. Tell me what's on your mind. I feel like you've been grating your teeth while speaking to me all day. What exactly? I've told you already. I needed to spare time to control the situation. I didn't want anyone else to get hurt. I had to do it, Adept. I've already explained it all, haven't I? What more is there to say about it? I thought it was the best choice. The truth? I... I thought perhaps you'd be better off without me. I'm sure that you'd rather me not be around. I know you're still incredibly angry at me. What I've done to you is unforgivable. I betrayed your trust and made a mockery of you. I've chained you to me, when you never wanted any part in this. And every time I tried to step forward, I always set us back. I'm cursed. But I am. I ruin everything and everyone around me. I was so guilty, Adept. I thought that as long as you and Anissa were safe, it would be okay. My life doesn't matter. You could throw it away and nothing would change. It is of no consequence. All I've ever done is cause strife and suffering, and you know better than anyone how I treated you. So when I told you to go, when I ran away, I was so sure that you'd be happy that I died. That I would be better off dead. Is that the truth you wanted to hear? And that is why I am so utterly confused by this reaction. Why are you so angry at me? Why did I wake up at all? Why did you save me, Adept? Why? Anissa told me that after you got her to safety, you stayed a moment. But yet you shifted and saved me. Why? I just don't understand it. You're always so red whenever you talk to me, so please. I'm exhausted, just please. Tell me what's going on. Why did you come to save me, Adept? You didn't come back to save me? Then why did you run back at all? You ran back to fight with me? To be with me? Really? That was your forgiveness running back to me. I've always carried an insurmountable burden and guilt with me. I tried to always do my very best for everyone around me. But it never seemed enough. I always made horrific mistakes. Even when I wasn't the one who made them. They became mine. I thought you would never forgive me. I felt as if I was a stain upon this very earth. That perhaps if I saw myself this way, then of course you would too. I really should have spoken to you more. but I just chose to shove more work in between us. It wasn't you. Then it wasn't just me that was putting distance between us. I suppose it must have been rattling, having a change of heart, after how determined you had seemed to be. No, of course not. I don't blame you at all for it. It only felt natural that you would spite me, distance yourself. I never hated you. I just felt frustrated at myself. Thank you for coming back to me. I am glad that we can finally have heart-to-heart, communicate truly with one another. There hasn't been much time or space since we set off. I suppose to just talk like this. But it is rather late, so... No, I'm not asking you to leave. I just don't want to. Do you want to stay? You do? I want you to stay. Truth be told, I am a little, spooked here, all alone at night. I haven't really adjusted at all in this place. It doesn't give me many good memories. I did put off sleeping till I couldn't take it anymore. Even then, I've never even slept on one of the beds. Not well aware of it, so... Though I often have a hard time sleeping anyway. I often have the most terrible of dreams, and this morning wasn't the first time this occurred. I've woken up in a fright many times before. Nightmares about my past, I suppose. So... then... do you mind staying a little late into the night with me? No, I doubt you'll need to be doing this every single night. Just tonight, for now, would be good. I do enjoy your company whenever we are amicable. No, I don't mind if you're this close. In fact, it's nice. You're usually an arm's length away from me at all times. Our fingertips could touch if we just shifted a bit. You're warm. It is good to know that this is all real, not some strange dream I've dreamt up. It's always felt like life was a nightmare. I'm sure you felt the same. I, suppose I, haven't asked you very much about that at all. Remember way back when we first met again? I had always wondered if you had remembered me at all. I wouldn't be surprised if you forgot. Maybe we were both disillusioned by one another. You were like the sun to me in those few weeks. A moment of rest. A friend. It made me happy when you shared meals with me or brought me little treats. But when you were gone, life remained the same as it always was. A nightmare. It felt empty and cold, like a constant storm had swept over. Yes. Most of my misery was due to my mother, as was yours, due to your stepmother. My mother had become very cruel when she changed. Where to even begin? There are key few moments that really stand out before I had met you and far afterwards. After she returned home from Tarkathon, after a mourning period for Empress Erish, she was never the same again. I was about, well, Anissa's age. She took it upon herself to raise me the right way, she would often say. She gave me many tests to see if I was fit for my role, whatever that even meant. Weakness was something she tried to stamp out of me. Attachment to the mortal realms. I had a friend once, a maid's daughter and my playmate. I had become too fond, too caring. So, Mother had her taken, tortured, tied up. She gave her a choice. To either kill me and live, or to die. My mother brought me into a small room where she was held. It was awful. It stunk of blood and whatever else. I was surprised she hadn't died of infection. Mother told me to hurt her, kill her, but I just couldn't. There was no way. I ran to her and untied her bonds, and that's when she stabbed me. Right here. In my side. I knocked the knife away when she tried again, but she jumped on top of me and she began squeezing at my neck so desperately. I didn't want to fight back. I just didn't understand. So right before I likely would have died, Mother had ridden of her for me. She ridiculed me, called me weak and made me clean it all up. I needed to let go of the things I loved. They'd only make me weaker. I needed to be cruel, so I did. To stop Mother from hurting the people I cared about. Even after that, she still wasn't satisfied and wanted to make my life a living nightmare. She tortured me for days, burned me, then had me healed. Never stopped. Then later, when I was older, she proposed that I get engaged to Theron. Yes. Likely the beginning of their plans. She took me. Here. It was my first time in Rizoa. She sat me down in a room with him, I think his, and then just left. We shouldn't have been alone. It wasn't right. And then he attacked me. Said he didn't care for the consequences, since I was to be his anyway. I kept fighting back, and he dug his claws into my neck. And then I dug my fingers into his, and he let go. I ran away and hid myself in a closet and just cried. I know you are not Theron. In some ways, I felt angered by you, simply because you were related at the beginning. But we are not our family members. We are not a reflection of them. You are kind and gentle. I'm surprised I can be kind sometimes. That I am not what she tried to raise me to be. Your stepmother, she wasn't very kind to you either, was she? I only heard a few things and gathered some reports, but I never got to hear very much. Would you like to tell me if you are comfortable with it? You can tell me anything at all. Right. I suppose that makes sense. She must have been jealous. She wanted her own son on the throne at all cost. And she was angered by your mother and father's relationship. I remember how loving they were to one another when she visited with you. I heard rumors long ago about the circumstances of her death. Do you think it was... I'm so sorry. It must have been horrible to live under your stepmother knowing that. You were so strong, Adept. killed your pets. She is beyond cruel. How could she? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Of course, she wouldn't want to put the blame entirely onto herself. What a heinous woman. Unfit to be queen, unfit to be a mother. It's no wonder she'd rather throw the world in chaos if she could have her way. It must have been so confusing to grow up with her. Spying on you, lying to everyone around you. And yourself. Never allowing you a moment of peace or clarity, neglecting you. I never want you to ever feel that way again. No. I never want you to be hurt again. Of course not. I know that the journey here has been hard for both of us. But we are no longer who we used to be, and we can change the future for the better. We have changed a lot, haven't we? I was angry. So angry. Another person I looked up to changed. And then I just kept making mistake after mistake, and I just felt so disgusted with myself. I even went to the church, desperate, praying, asking what was wrong with me and what to do with myself. I wasn't who I wanted to be. I felt like I wasn't changing fast enough. Mother's lessons and words were etched into my skin, and I felt like I couldn't get rid of her influence. I was afraid I was becoming her, that her plans had worked in the end. Even if I couldn't get your forgiveness, I still wanted to be good, whether or not you accepted it as truth. I just needed to change for myself, no matter how many mistakes, no matter how long it took. Of course, I still felt guilty. I still wanted you to forgive me. Though I suppose throwing away my life wasn't such a good choice either. True. We were both angry little brats. Both angry at ourselves and everyone around us. See, I knew those walks I recommended were a good thing. I'm glad that they gave you time to think. For the both of us, after reflecting upon our frustrations and anger, we've learned so many new things about each other and ourselves. But all I really know is that I don't want to hurt you anymore. If I do hurt you, don't go easy on me. I'll talk it out. Make it right. Because it is safe to talk to me. I'll listen. And I hope you'll listen to me too. We are both incredibly flawed yet priceless people. Your scars are part of you. They shouldn't consume you whole. They just remain on the surface of the skin. And though they pulse and scream with unbearable heat, we cannot let them hurt us as much as it did when we first received them. No need to carry those burdens and pains any longer. We should grow beyond the confines of what those people tried to raise us to be. You aren't your mistakes. You aren't foolish or pathetic in the slightest. You are so much more than what people have told you. What I told you. You have been a wonderful leader, a good brother and partner. You really are beautiful, Adept, inside and out. Really. Yes. Every single flaw, every single scar. I never even noticed it, really. Though I suppose it is just there. I suppose now I will have more scars than you. I know, not a good thing. But how did you get that one on your forehead? Really? Oh, Adept. You really trained so hard a chunk of wood just broke off and hit you. It really must have hurt to leave such deep damage. Adept, just remember that the scars inside and out don't mean a thing. They are you, and you shouldn't be ashamed of them. They contain all the things we've hated, all our history, all our pain. It's all you. And I love them all. I love this one on your hand. I love this one on your shoulder. And I love this one on your forehead. I love all of them. All your scars. All of you. I love you. Oh, I'm sorry. It must be shocking. It's not. It wouldn't make me uncomfortable in the slightest. You had I have so many scars you could possibly. Adept. Do you